Hello, this is Bill Clodsey, starting up an Ixalan draft in preparation for GP Phoenix, which I'll be going to. This pack, fairly straightforward. Savage Stomp, the rare, is not quite on the power level of Savage Stomp or Stormfleet Aerialist. Those are some nice options for first picking, and Savage Stomp is, probably just a lot better. So we can keep that in mind as we go forward. It's good even without a dinosaur, but certainly that's another reason to play it. Not many good green cards in this pack. Diviner's fine. Jungle Delver's playable as maybe a one of in a Merfolk deck, but not too exciting. And then Air Elemental here. Solid. A couple good vampires. A nice splashable aura. And not much else. I think the Air Elemental is where we want to be. It keeps us open for something like Merfolk, which is a strong deck. Even though neither of our cards are really synergistic, they're just kind of good cards on their own. Well, not a good green card here. Only two cards missing from the pack, an uncommon and a rare. But there is a good blue card, well, three good blue cards, but if we're trying to get into Merfolk, the Weaver might be a little better to pick up now than the Dispersal. And it's not like we have Pirates, and we are leaning towards Merfolk in these colors, so Water Trap Weaver is not bad there, a little Frostlinks effect. It's even better than that because there's so many cards in the set that care about it being a Merfolk, like to pump it up or what have you. Next up we have this awkward Dowsing Dagger thing. The more evasion you have, the better this gets, so slapping it on an Air Elemental to make a 6/5 dragon is kind of appealing. But the rest of the pack is just kind of not super strong. It could be time for an opt. You'll never be sad with one or two of these in your deck. Help find what you need when you need it. Yeah, Dowsing Dagger is interesting. That'd be more of like a blue-white flying deck card. Or if we have enough flying Merfolk, it gets better. And it could flip. I mean, it does flip into a Lotus Veil, but I'll take the opt here. Ooh. More flying appears here. We've got Stormfleet Aerialist. Want to prioritize 2-drops, especially creatures in this format, because they kind of dry up early. And you can get an unplayable deck if you don't reach a certain number of those. Dive Down is fine. Pious Interdiction is one to keep in mind for going into or changing our second color here, but for now we can take the Aerialist. Interesting. Well, Siren's Ruse does a couple things. It resets Water Trap Weaver. It can come down and blink our Stormfleet Aerialist after something attacks. And then there's Navigator's Ruin here. A deck that's not really on many people's radars. Build a couple of these, make a couple evasive creatures, just get in some random attacks. Yeah, I will speculate here and take a Navigator's Ruin, even though it might just not make our deck. Dive Down, sure. Another one I'm happy with including one or two of in just about any deck. Mark of the Vampire. Black has a lot of flyers too. That could easily be our second color. The most interesting card in this pack. So I don't mind taking that. And then Headwater Sentries. Slice in Twain. It's not a card I pick early, but I guess it would be fine in a defensive deck that attacks in the air. Another Mark of the Vampire. We could be working towards a strategy here. Get a big flyer in the air and then put a mark on it and then protect it with Dive Down. It's that's a thing. Because that one piece of removal they have in their whole deck, and then you pay 1 mana to negate it. Let's see. Cobbled Wings. Not interested in anything in this pack, really. Lancer won't go into a blue deck. Pyromancer, I guess. Our stuff's already going to be flying. I'll take the Pyromancer here. And the Frenzied Raptor. It's a nice size of a creature. Especially if you can find something to give it flying, like the Cobbled Wings. And then the Schooner. The fact that the Schooner doesn't add another creature to the board, I mean, it kind of does. But you know, not another creature you can block with right away. Means it's a little awkward to play vehicles. I mean, they're fine, but you'd often rather have a creature in those slots. Next pack, we get Argyl's Bloodfast to help find our marks. And since we'll be gaining life, potentially, that's pretty cool. Lookout's Dispersal. Yeah, I think since we're so likely to be blue, we only have one pirate, but I mean, even at 3 mana, this is a fine counterspell for the format. Reasonable to pick one of those up here. I think I do like Dispersal here over the Bloodfast. We're not even 100% in black or just splashing for these. We have a couple tough creatures to sacrifice to the Temple of Aclazats, whatever it is. But yeah, let's go for some of these Dispersals. Couple Merfolk down here. It's a nice little array of them. Pick all 3 of those. Or we could take Lookout's Dispersal, or another Water Trap Weaver. I mean, you don't need a million Lookout's Dispersals, but you do need a million creatures. So that's a tough one, but let's go with the Weaver. Okay. Well, Vance's Blasting Cannons. Let's see if there's any potential we go into that. I'm still more excited about these marks than our red spells. And here's a perfectly little fine Merfolk, and we have a couple other ones to play to give it flying. So 2/1 flying for 2 is just going to be a little more consistent than trying to flip this Blasting Cannon when we're not really excited about the rest of our red. So I'm going to go for the Apprentice here. And there's some outside chance we get it back into green. And this is a good reason to go back into green. Shapers of Nature. So we could either be splashing green for this or splashing black for something else. But I'll definitely pick up this Shapers here. Just a huge body to add to the board, but then when you get to spend extra mana on this, you pretty much go off. River Herald's Boon. Yeah, now that we're back into Merfolk, this card is great. As long as you have one Merfolk out there, you get the full value, and you can always put counters elsewhere. One counter on some other creature, so I'm definitely happy to pick that up. Pick up another one, sure. Over Dive Down, it's a little more important for the deck, and we already have one counter spell and one Dive Down, so yeah, boon number 2. A good number of these to have is like 3 or 4. If we're really lucky, one of the Merfolk from that pack that had 3 good common ones will wheel out of this pack. Favorable Winds. I mean, it helps 3 of our cards and nothing else here is in the pack. Unclaimed Territory is not a terrible card to think about, but yeah, the Favorable Winds has high enough upside that I'll go for that here. Keeper and Pirate's Prize. Grab the Keeper, just for creature count. It's another one. It's fine to make this into a 3/3, along with buffing some other Merfolk with the boon. So we're on track here to get enough playables. It's just so unlikely that nobody else is drafting Merfolk at the table. It's such a well-known deck now. So it's not one I expect to go for in any given draft. But this is kind of how you get into it. You get a card here, you get a card there, and get past a powerful green card. And even though some of the rest of the table is fighting you, you get enough to make it work. Not much wheeling. It's a bad sign for pack 3. It's a weird options here. Desperate Castaways or Belligerent Brontodon. I think we go with the Castaways. Again, that might be our splash color or even our second color, and that's a fine little defensive guy to help out our flyers. Never going to play two Brontodons. Buccaneers. Yeah, nothing wheeled. Nothing in this entire pack wheeled. None of those Merfolk cards. So what, 3 other Merfolk drafters at the table? Should be interesting. Let's hope we're in one of the better seats for the deck. And it turns out we are, because we open Shapers of Nature. Along with his buddy Kumena's Speaker, which leads to some of the fastest starts in the format. 4 damage on turn 2. There's a couple ways of doing that. And this is one of them. Bump it up with River Herald's Boon, but it's not going to be better than Shapers of Nature. That card's just nuts. And I'll happily pick it up and cut it from this Merfolk Hungry table. Wow, here's another pack we're not going to wheel anything from. We've got Shaper Apprentice. I'd love to get another one of these, or another 2 or 3. River Herald's Boon, which would be great. And Dreamcaller Siren, which can be a bomb. We only have one other pirate at this point, so it's not as good. And maybe we just need to pick up another early Merfolk. That's a weird card. Pack one, pick one. It'd be the Dreamcaller Siren all day. But this is not a forgiving format. You get stuck with this, and then they're at 20 life, and they have 8 power on the field, and this card looks terrible because you can't even block with it. But you want to establish that board with your own 2-drops. Yeah, it was exciting to see the Siren, but I think we have to go with the Apprentice in this pack. Alright, not as an exciting pack here. I mean, there's Lightning Strike, which would be hard to splash despite 1 New Horizons. Would be difficult to splash. Maybe Dive down here. We could look for another 2-drop. I think having 2 Dive Downs is reasonable for a deck like this. Try to pick up our playables somewhere or other. Yeah, another Headwater Sentries. This could make us a little weak to flyers, but we have enough late game that having Headwater Sentries is not the worst, and making them into 4/7s with a River Herald's Boon, I mean, that's also pretty nuts. So I don't always look for the Headwater Sentries in a Merfolk deck, but now that we're there and we're scrounging for playables, I guess it works out. Ooh, our first possible piece of bounce. It looks like most of our spells are devoted to enhancing and protecting our own creatures right now. Pretty much all of them, besides Opt. So we don't have too many more spaces for just random bounce, and we'll take another creature here. Triple Frostlinks deck. Speaking of enhancing our creatures, here's a one with the wind. I will take that. So it's effectively a River Herald's Boon. Crushing Canopy for the sideboard. And in some ways it's better, and in most ways it's worse. I like the Boon. The flying can be nice. Yeah, I need a few more creatures, really, to make this deck work. Is this the kind of deck where you'd have to splash Ancient Brontodon just because you might need another creature? Spiketail Ceratops, I guess that's fine. Come on, I hope there's got to be one creature wheeling out of all of this. We can't do it on our own here, and it's really not worth running Navigator's Ruin. Wow, that's a late Pirate's Cutlass. Generally, I'd be excited about it, but in this deck, we really need another creature. Well, even the bad Merfolk are good in the Merfolk deck. That is super late, though. Oh well. Another one. What? Well, if we had enough flyers, we could just slam the second favorable winds. 2 mana, pump all your creatures, but we just don't have that many flyers, so I think we go for, yeah, we just pick up this Cutlass. Ixalan's Diviner, I'm happy with any creature that's in our colors wheeling. So it looks like we got there. Probably cutting Spiketail Ceratops and playing 18 lands. I mean, we have enough stuff to go into the late game with like Shapers of Nature, even though many of our cards set up card disadvantage. So maybe like a 9/7 deck favoring blue. We have 3 early green creatures and things, and then 4 early blue creatures and things. Similar for 3 drops. Yeah, we just have way more blue early, but not by so much that we should play like 6 forests. So I think it's 9 blue, 7 green, and that should do it. Wow, so it looks good to me. Sounds good to me. Easy build here. 10-7. Magic Online doesn't know what it's talking about here. Sometimes it does pretty well. Set up our excellent and diverse sideboard here in case we need to hate their graveyards or flyers or their Gisheths or whatever. We have answers. So see you in the matches. Round 1. Let's keep this hand. Can't do much better than early creature plus spells that might be good later. Is this the mirror match? No. Blue-black pirates. Something along those lines. It's too bad we can't stomp and then hold up dive down, but we won't need to here. Happy to pick up a Merfolk. Ooh, Slash of Talons. Yeah, why don't we save this poor dude? We could have used Herald's Boon, but then we miss a counter on it. I don't know. That's a fine trade. Uh-oh. Well, they pretty much have to take Savage Stomp here. But my first thought was, oh no, they're going to take our River Herald's Boon. But that's our 1 piece of removal for that, so oh well. The faster play would be this River Herald's Boon, but the more mana efficient play is to just put a counter on the Delver. Prosperous Pirates, sure. So that means we can't even attack with our Keeper. Unless we had another green. But we can definitely attack with this Delver. And I'm going to go for our first boon here, so it sets up our boon for next turn. Yep, get that 1 damage in, maybe a raid trigger, but they're not blocking with it, so that's all fine. Yeah, this is not good. This is just not good. They've got all their mana up. They've got Reprisal. They've got potential bounce. But let's get greedy. I mean, maybe they have nothing. Maybe they're missing their red or whatever 4th color they're playing. Of course, they have these treasures, so that can't be true either. What's the plan here? Block with the freebooter? They pretty much have to, don't they? We get our stomp back. That might be it. I'm not sure if it was right to dive down immediately, but it seemed to work out that game. That was weird. I should have considered using the boon a little more intently. We get in one more damage, but then we don't save it for this nonsense later in the game. Close. Okay, so what do they have? They have things that we want to kill, especially flyers. Enchantments maybe not so much, but they're splashing white for something. Maybe a binding, Ixalan's binding. But it's one of our few ways to kill that guy and get our thing back, besides pinning them so they have to block with it. So that's a good option. They're going to be removal heavy, so dive downs are great. I still like these pump spells. Diviner, Cutlass might be even better than the pump spells. One with the Wind is probably our weakest pump spell because it really does set us up for some bad action. Yeah, you know, I'm going to cut that for the Crushing Canopy. Despite how they synergize together, you can give their creature flying and then kill it. But yeah, I haven't seen that happen yet. So they're down to 6. I'll tell you what I did see for the first time in many drafts and sealeds the other day. I was 2-0 in a PPTQ, and my opponent played an Old Growth Dryads. And it's literally the first time that I'd ever seen it in live or online, sealed or draft, constructed or whatever, even though I don't play constructed. It's the first time I've seen it in play. It wasn't terrible because they played it on turn 8 or something, so it didn't ramp me by much. I think we just start to set up here. The most aggressive thing there would be to play out our boon, but we can take this a bit more slowly. Diversify our threats here. And it's a small thing, and I don't think they could have had much up for 2 black, but if we played New Horizons on our forest, an untapped forest, they'd have a window where we don't have access to blue mana, so you played on the island there. Little things, because 99% of the time it won't matter, but the one time it does matter, you'll be like, why on earth did I not do it that way? They might just be having a pretty bad draw here. So we could hold up Lookout's Dispersal for their next play. That doesn't seem too important, because we can just hold up Dive Down. Or if they have the thing that kills a 3 power or less creature, then we can make it 4 power. Look at how, I mean, the dive downs look great now that we have a board established. I'll give them that. And I generally prefer to use the boon as a trick. Sailor of Means. That looks like it'll be too good for them. What do you think? Pretty good use of our mana here. I mean, yeah, we could Savage Stomp it. It doesn't change the clock much here, just to leave our mana up. Get them down to 6. Next turn we tap any creature they play, and yeah, they're pretty much in the same spot here. They had to discard Deathless Ancient forever ago. It's not the most interactive game ever. So this would kill them, and I'm definitely going for it, but not by pumping the Delver. Could have left 2 blue up here as well. And that should do it. Not even Skullduggery gets us here. Ooh, Siren's Ruse gets us, though. That wasn't even on my radar, to be honest. That does get us. I mean, they have to jump with their guy. We could have waited till after blocks to do this. You know, interestingly enough, that was a reason to use Savage Stomp on it. Our guy still gets the counter, and then when they flicker it in response, we can just tap it down on our first main. So yeah, definitely a possible misplay here. Or we could have played around Siren's Ruse, but I wasn't thinking of it. And Prosperous Pirates again. Now they'll have 3 tricky mana up. But they're also at 4 life. So let's see. Let's see if we can't stomp it. And if they have something ridiculous, Dive Down should help us out. They might have had enough just to bounce 1 creature, and then they bounce the thing and then block 1 and take 2. But that wouldn't have worked for a lot of reasons. So on to match 2. Round 2. We are on the draw again. We've got Diviner, which can usually get in for an attack to set up an Aerialist later. So yeah, I think it's going to be Diviner into Shapers. Would be pretty greedy, but we have a backup Shapers. Ooh, Boon is nice. And this will block the Bishop Soldier, whether or not it finds a land. And it does get a land, which is well enough. Don't have our double blue yet. I guess we don't need it that badly. Let's see if they pump up their soldier to get past the Diviner. Nope, just gaining some life. That's a lot of lifelink. That is a lot of lifelink over there. And obviously we can't be sure they don't have a pump because they didn't kill our Diviner there. It's kind of a waste of it. So we can't hold up Dive Down here. We could use Water Trap Weaver and see if they come in with their Bishop Soldier, so tap down 1 Vampire. It's not a terrible use of our mana. And then maybe try to protect our Shapers later. Yeah, well, this is a pretty conservative play. And I'm just going to tap one of the little vampires, which is less conservative, because I want them to either trade the soldier for the Weaver or use up a trick to get past it. I mean, just the best play there is to tap the Bishop Soldier in some ways. How about this, though? We'll just come in with the Water Trap Weaver. They might take it because they have 1,000,000 life, but it does get us our Aerialist with a counter on it. And if we have to use the River Herald's Boon, then we've got good targets for that. Argyl's Bloodfast. They found a good deck for that. Let us use the Boon here. The first thing you target has to be the non-Merfolk. And I guess we're kind of racing. Let's use it here and here. We're still struggling on blue, but we can make this attack. And ooh, there's our blue. Nice. We can make this attack, and if they want to trade it with our Weaver, we can use Dive Down to protect it. Kind of a 1.5 for 1. Yeah, let's use Dive Down. Skullduggery would kind of get us there. Might be reason to order the little one first. And then Shapers will have plenty to do next turn. They're missing land drops. So they might have to ping themselves with the Bloodfast just to make a land drop, and that's what they're doing. And they get it. They've got their second swamp here. Third swamp, really. This looks like just an all-out attack. Can't go too wrong for us. And then Water Trap Weaver to get this vampire tapped down. It adds 2 power to the board, and we leave up a Shapers of Nature activation to draw a card. So they have to pay 2 life to draw a card. We have to pay 3 mana and one of our +1/+1 counters to draw a card. Who's winning? Probably us, because this is also a creature. Now you always have to be mindful of Skullduggery. Ooh, now you don't. Top deck mode. Oh, I should play the land first. But this might just be concession. They had a little bit of a slow start against a really... Well, you can't really say it's a slow start when they start Bishop Soldier into Queen's Commission, but they stumbled a little bit and we didn't, so we'll take it. Crushing Canopy. The vampires do like their flyers. And it also gets that Bloodfast. Kind of. It's not a great answer to the Bloodfast, but it'll do. It'll work. Going down to 15 lands is one option. Cutting Opt is an option. Lookout's Dispersal. Yeah, we didn't see enough targets for it, Crushing Canopy, and there's, you know, all the cards in our deck kind of work well in this matchup to begin with. A fine hand. It's got some of our best little plays. In fact, if they get an early Sanctum Seeker out, we might just be able to fight it with a 3/3. Wanted Scoundrels. I wish we could kill that thing right away, but that's going to hit us for 4. We'll have to weave it down. Or if we're really thinking a turn 3 Sanctum Seekers coming out, we could use Shapers of Nature. I'm a little less worried about that. Oh boy, that's tough. I don't know about this. Because we go to 12 if we cast the Shapers of Nature. Yeah, I think we Water Trap Weaver this turn. The Shapers will be better on 3, so the next turn we could go Boon and Savage Stomp to kill just about anything. This play is just a little safer. I think it's close though. Not the big guy, not the Sanctum Seeker. Okay, well, I don't mind trying to get the Diviner down here to trade. And ooh, that is another good one because we are hitting our land drops. So let's just pass it back. And hitting the counter on the Diviner makes it so the Scoundrels can't trade with it and another thing. So we get a good double block on the Scoundrels. We have Boon backup if we need it. It's a It's pretty reactionary. There's so many combat tricks in the format that you always have to play around Skullduggery if you can against a black deck. So we would rather like try to trade with things and then use our River Herald's Boon in response to something, instead of getting greedy and like blocking the Paladin, River Herald's Boon to make it a 4/4, unless they're really low on resources. So there's our Sanctum Seeker, and that means they might just not attack here. So what is white? White could make it indestructible. That's an uncommon trick. The other tricks in white rely on combat. So what's our play here? I think we make these a bit bigger and then try to stomp the Sanctum Seeker with the Water Trap Weaver. Just to be done with it. I don't want to see that thing anymore. Even if they make it indestructible, they get to scry. It's not the end of the world for us. Cool. So back to you. And our late game. We both have powerful late game setup. They have their Bloodfast. We have our Shapers and Air Elemental. I guess we'll go for the Elemental first. Ideally, or not ideally, but like it's pretty nice to play this on 7 mana to get that first activation, or even 6. It's nice to have 5 toughness here, but I wouldn't mind removing a couple counters from the Diviner to draw cards. Direfleet Interloper. Okay, so no cards for them this turn unless they hit a land. They're gonna bin their Queensbay Soldier. Not the spiciest card. You never know, though. It might work out so that they, yeah, they're keeping it. They have some vampire synergies, and they can draw cards as well. Oh, I'm surprised they kept it on top. Cutlass. Why Cutlass when you can cut more? Sure. Menace, huh? Well, we've got good answers to a 3/3 Menace, and we know they drew Queensbay Soldier, so it's just a matter of what they already had. Pious Interdiction on the Air Elemental. Ah, that's a good reason to bring in our enchantment removal. Just any white deck it's reasonable against. But I'll tell you what. Play some Shapers. And we'll play a Cutlass. So we don't get our activation out of the Shapers, but we do set up the Cutlass and an activation the next turn. I'm not a huge fan of this interdiction on our Air Elemental, or even less the Vanquish on the Shapers. Ouch. They've still got their Queensbay back. They might be debating whether they'd rather draw a card, hit a land drop here. Yeah, our board's a lot worse now that we lost our 2 best cards. Of course, it's not terrible against their board, I guess. Except for that Bloodfast. Yeah, I guess that's fine. Gives us a threat almost as good as Air Elemental here. Can't draw too much expensive. We could draw our second Shapers, and then we want the Cutlass on the Shaper Apprentice. They can't use another Vanquish. We'll get there. We've got some time. Another... No, they're just drawing cards now. With all that life gain, it really is a powerful effect. Okay, we're back. They're attacking. They're attacking with this interloper, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, does it? I guess they can pump it, but even if they have, so 4, 3, 4, 5, this should still kill it. Now they haven't played a land drop, so they could also, you know, I don't really know. I don't really know what this could be. They could kill the diviner and then still trades. That's a weird one. They just don't want us to have our 4/4 on the board, and they're going to spend a trick here. It seems awkward. That for the life of me, I can't think of a single card that would let them 2-for-1 us. And if it's 2 cards, then it's not a 2-for-1 anymore. Skullduggery, okay. So it is just skullduggery to trade 2-for-1 against. I mean, our Weaver did have 2 counters on it, so it's no small thing. But I'm fine with that trade. Oh boy. 6, this could kill them in 3 turns if we want to go all in. That's the question, do we want to go all in? They've got a little bit of lifelink, but then they're also trying to draw cards with the Bloodfast. I said I liked saving this as a trick. I should have done this before combat. I think we go all in here. They're going to have the 2 damage spell, watch. Yeah, that's why you play before combat. That was scary. So they're at 12. We have a 4/3 dude with a Pirate's Cutlass on it. And they're going down to 10. So now they can't gain enough life from their vampire to not die in 2 turns. And hopefully they don't just have Contract killing off the top. That's a pretty good one. It does buy them a turn. But we have to sort of force the issue here while they don't have much back. They didn't have Slash of Talons last turn. So hopefully they have nothing here. They just, oh, Vampire's Zeal. So that trades. And that takes away our win condition. So what do we do here? Pump up the Diviner so it can kill the Scoundrels on its own. And this is why we prioritized so many of those apprentices. Yeah. They can afford to 2-for-1 themselves when they draw extra cards, as many as they like. We don't really get to attack back into them. Bishop Soldier again. Come on, we need our second Shaper's Apprentice. Well, this is interesting. We can kind of attack with the Diviner. They've got 12, 11. We can kind of attack with the Diviner now. And then re-equip the Cutlass to the Keeper if they don't block. Now if they go for some crazy block, we've got Ixalan's Keeper. We've got our 8 mana to pump it. But they know that's it. You know, they could just take this hit and they wouldn't die. Yet. But they wouldn't be able to use the Bloodfast again. Until they hit us with some lifelink. I'm getting desperate though. I like this because we're not dead on the crackback. And to gain life, they have to attack into a 4/3. So they might block with the minimum to take it down. And I'll just spend the Keeper if they do this. It saves our guy. It gets in some damage and kills a couple of their guys. So yeah, we're still racking up a few of these 2-for-1s. They have to get up to 11, so they'd really want to put their queen space soldier and bishop soldier here to actually trade with it. And then we just kill all of them. It's an exact little trade here. 4 for 2. They come out ahead in that we have nothing left except our pirate's cutlass, and they have a vampire. So we hold it like that. And here's our trade. Take 4. We get a few treasures for our effort. And they'll take it down to 4. And they'll take it down to 2. And that flips their blood fast. If they want, which they don't. They're at 2 life, they can't, well, I guess they could activate it. Maybe they want one more try after they hit with the soldier. Interesting. Just depends what they drew over there. Yeah, they'll have to leave something back, because if we draw another water trap weaver, that gets pretty scary for them. Did we leave in 1 with the wind? I think we did leave that in. That would be pretty scary for them here too. Ouch, ouch, ouch. That's a lot. Huh. 7. Do we force the issue? They go to 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We get down to 3. They gain some more life. They draw some more cards. Looks pretty grim over here. Island was not the draw I would have chosen. If I could have chosen any card to draw, it was probably not Island here. They're taking it to 2. Where's that lightning strike we're trying to splash? Flip it, flip it. It's definitely safer for them to flip it. At least in the short term. Ouch. Now they have their own flyer. So many cards. And a Chupacabra? I haven't seen a single card that makes use of that. They must have maybe like 2 cards. Well, here we go. Direfleet Interloper. They probably have a couple. And they can always cash it in for 3 life off the Bloodfast. And 2 more lands than they do, and I haven't even been drawing extra cards. We'll get there though. We're gonna draw our Shapers of Nature. Oh, there's an Explore card. Makes our guy a 2/4 so that it doesn't kill the bishop. So they make an all-out attack here, and we can kill like Bishop's Soldier, but that's not even that bad for them. Oh, this is a pretty greedy attack. I mean, not greedy, but like, they should probably just attack with everything. They're thinking about it. They've got a 4/4 lifelinker on defense. We take 4 here. Oh shoot. We're dead if they attack all out. They're worried about our flash creature. Surely we don't have another land in our hand, right? It has to be something, like a bounce spell. Well, I'll come back when they're back. They came back immediately, and they are attacking with a little bit more, but we're still not dead to it. Cool, we live another day. But we're forced to make this block and go to 1. Yeah, that's not going to do it. So, crushing canopy, I mean, that's what we need. That's what we need. Apparently, going down on lands is also reasonable there. Headwater sentries. Let's cut one of those. We're on the play. It's a pretty defensive card, and for the life of me, I can't think of what else to cut. Oops, not that. We've got our Savage Stomp. That'll kill flyers. It kills, like, if we could have unlocked our Air Elemental or killed their Bloodfast at any point, that would have been great. It kind of ended up being a close game. One with the Wind could have won at some spots there. And it's a fine hand. I'll keep this. All this hand needs is to draw any land, and it's in good shape. Aggressive start here with our Apprentice into Shapers or Weaver, and they're down to 6. Scrying to the top. This is it. This game is all about getting to the finals. Oh, now there's our start. Now if we don't draw land, we're just committed to our 4-3. Which Black-White doesn't have a ton of ways of dealing with. Nah, let's not do it. Making it flying also doesn't do anything pre-combat here. Rather represent and actually hold up our tricks. But we'll get the fastest start possible. It loses to some removal here. They could just shoot off the spell that kills creatures that are smaller. Oh, I don't know, remember the name of that card, but it would kill the Shapers there. Now we're holding up all kinds of good stuff, so that doesn't work as well. Lots of ways we could play this, but I like getting 2 power on the board and holding up Dive Down. I'm just gonna hold up Dive Down for the rest of the game here. Yeah, looks like a great start for this deck. Never count the Vampire player out, but oh, now we're gonna have a Savage Stomp with Dive Down backup. Seems pretty good. It would be ridiculously unwise to attack in with our Shapers here. I mean, it might be okay, but it's probably better to hold up Dive Down. All right. Shining Aerosaur. That helps get them back into it, for sure. And that gets them right back out of it again, our River Herald's Boon. Let me think here. So we pump up our Water Trap Weaver and send it in. And then we attack with just Shapers and Water Trap Weaver and see what they're on about. I don't want to give them a free block of our Apprentice when we can't even save it with River Herald's Boon unless we also had Dive Down. They might go for a quadruple Hexa block on the Shapers, but that's also not going to work out well for them. Super duper block. But what if we have River Herald's Boon? Didn't you think of that? So they go to 7, but we don't lose our thing. They lose everything, and the only silver lining for them is that we have no mana left for dive down. But that should be it. Nice, on to the finals. Finally on the play here versus Alexa Magic. And unfortunately on the play we can't really keep that hand, but now we have our colors in this one. Not the fastest start for the Merfolk deck, but ooh, that's exciting. I think we bottom it though. It's too risky to miss our land drop when we don't have any 2-drops, despite that being pretty powerful. There we go. We're kind of doing it. Queen Space Soldier. And no white yet. So we'll just have to see. Have to see what this is. I mean, you need 2-drops, so you can splash this in a pirate deck if you don't quite get there. Oh, interesting. Well, I don't mind just attacking here. So little can go wrong when we have counter magic up. Yep. And then, oh, interesting. Should we counter that? That really screws them over, but at the same time, I want to play my cards. Why don't we just counter the stuff that matters later? Go for these Headwater Sentries. So they might have drawn their removal for the Shapers or something, but nope, not yet. And we still have pretty good attacks into this. But no pirates yet. Yeah, let's just attack into this. Give them their raid trigger if they really want it. Oh no, we'll stop that too. Let's stop their raid trigger. Our board is getting a little intimidating. And that they've had enough. They just can't draw their second color now. I would play Fathom Fleet in a vampire deck because it does have so many little 1/1s that they block with their 4/4 or 5/5, and then you second main this. So it's really unclear what they're playing. But it's either vampires or pirates, which we knew just from the swamp. And the fact that they played one of each. Yeah, so is that enough information to bring in something like Crushing Canopy? Not really. Let's just run it back. Again, probably over a Headwater Sentries. Oh yeah, this is an appealing hand, and normally I'd love to keep a hand like this. I still want to keep it. I think we keep it. This is limited. There's going to be tons of creatures on top. This is the Settle the Wreckage syndrome. When somehow you're given an abundance of lands, the shuffler automatically puts like 3 or 4 on top of your deck. So you attack in with 5 creatures, they use Settle the Wreckage. You're guaranteed to draw 3 lands after that. You certainly remember it when you do. Come on. Alright, alright. Now we have something to use all of these lands on. And we can't complain because we have both our colors. And we're hitting our land drops. Maybe they are mono black. But then why would they concede last game? There we go. They are vampires. Or something like it. Something that resembles vampires. I would certainly have kept this hand if it was Air Elemental and River Herald's Boon. So it kind of makes sense now that we've drawn into it. There we go. Drew a couple of lands as well, but here's a nice merfolk to get us started. Half the way there to blocking a menace creature. Oh no! Time to outclass that dude. Some schools would tell you to attack with the Headwater Sentries there because, I don't know, but I think if we could dissuade an attack here, that'd be even better. God, we just can't even block, can we? I'm just not going to block. Like, why would they make this clearly bad attack unless they had something clearly good? Here we go. This thing comes in tapped because Sunwing is completely broken. But now we have blocks. Are we dead here? We take 6 and we kill the Aerosaur. Something like that. No, I think we would rather... I don't know what we do here. We have to go after one of these flyers, right? I wish, oh man, I wish one more of these things was not flying. Or at the very least, we had another blocker up. 7. But we pretty much have to kill one of these flyers. Let's say we draw a creature next turn, then we want to block this Sunwing, but we block more damage this way. We just have to block as much damage as possible. Let them have their first strike, and then we'll boon up our Air Elemental twice, most likely. I mean, if they just pass, we're fine to do it this way. That resolves. And the Skullduggery... Yeah, we just need both River Herald's boon to make this work, and hope they have nothing. They say that's fine, because we still kill your guy. Hopefully this works. So we take it to 4. One of our creatures untaps. And they have the Cutthroat to ruin our day. Yeah, I'll tell you what's coming in. We didn't know about those flyers, but I'll tell you what's coming in. The Crushing Canopy. Oh yeah. And out a Headwater Sentries, although it kind of bailed us out there when we couldn't draw enough creatures. Still, if it looks like 16 lands is too many, that's only because we haven't drawn enough Shapers of Nature. Or, to a lesser extent, Jungle Delver. Dive Down. Dive Down would protect our creatures from that little combat damage dude. The pirate who comes in to finish off hurt creatures. But yeah, this all looks good. Yeah, the Sentries. I mean, Sentries are a fine one of, but they get a little less exciting. We will play here. They get less exciting in multiples. Just like Diviners. I mean, it's fine to have one of them. In fact, you're usually happy to have that effect. Because while you're racing, you just kind of blank one of their creatures by leaving back an 03 or 04. Drew those in the wrong order, but yeah, that's action. Oh boy. And was that their turn 1? This is not good for them. I could Savage Stomp it, but let's just set up our flyer that they know we have. and hold up our dive down. They're not having it. So yeah, I guess we're getting all kinds of visual bugs here, but more than that, we are ready for day 2 of Grand Prix Phoenix. Anyway, good luck in your drafts, and if you're there, good luck there, and maybe I'll see you around.